Okay, so I've got a great reason to vote for Kamala Harris. Okay, good, finally, let's hear it. Democracy. Democracy? Yeah, we have to vote blue and stop Trump to save democracy. Okay, so you guys replace the candidate that everyone voted for with Kamala Harris because you guys love democracy. We had to do it, and Joe courageously stepped aside. Besides, she was going to be his VP, so everyone who voted for him practically voted for her anyway. That's not a bad response, but let me ask you this. Do you remember not too long ago when, Joe Biden took classified documents, purposely withheld them, but he wasn't going to be charged because he had a bad memory and basically wasn't going to be competent enough for the jury to even bother? And those allegations were unfounded and rude. Okay, do you remember when Kamala Harris and Tim Walz and the media and all kinds of people were going around saying that Joe Biden is just so on it behind the scenes and he's full of energy and he can totally do the job? Yeah, then they were like telling the truth then. Okay, and do you remember when there was that fundraiser where Obama was leading Biden out and people thought that it looked really bad, but they were saying that it was cheap fakes and all the videos that people were sharing around of Joe Biden just like weren't real and it was all in our heads? Yeah, they were cheap fakes. Okay, do you remember like a month ago when we had a debate and Joe Biden couldn't hide how bad he kind of was, and so then everyone panicked and just wanted to push him out of the actual role of running for president? Well, yeah, they obviously needed someone better. Do you remember how the media turned on him and there was an op-ed by George Clooney and there was all these leaks all over the place about Joe Biden and the real condition of him? Yeah, and he needed to step aside. Okay, but you remember that he wouldn't, right? Yeah, because he was a selfish old man. And then he decided to step away. Rumor has it that they were gonna invoke the 25th Amendment, but who knows? These reporters don't like to ask questions when it's inconvenient. Well, he just stepped aside because he's a hero. Okay, but Joe Biden said that he stepped aside to save democracy and to bring unity to the party. Remember that? Yep, he's such a great guy. So it was a tactic to save democracy because he was probably going to lose to Trump at that point, right? That was a concern. Okay, so if the people were going to have the option to compare the incumbent to the prior president, and if they were going to pick the prior president, it seems to me that you guys aren't trying to protect democracy. It kind of sounds like you guys are a little afraid of it. What? No. I mean, you really didn't want the people to have a final say when it came to Donald Trump and Joe Biden. And a lot of people don't like either of these men, but the people did, at the very least, select them, through the vote. Kamala Harris was selected by the elites of her party. They didn't even want a convention floor fight, which I understand. They didn't want that drama. But again, it just kind of seems like they're trying to protect themselves from democracy. Okay, but again, she's the obvious pick. I agree she was the obvious pick. That doesn't mean she was your best option to go with. No, absolutely not. Okay, well, it's her versus Trump now, and the people get to decide. Yeah, the people will decide between someone who didn't win a primary versus someone who did win their primary, despite the fact that people tried to have him kicked off the ballot, had all these indictments against him, had these political prosecutions, and that's what, not only what I say, but the former Attorney General of New York, who is also the governor, said that Trump was obviously prosecuted because his name is Trump. Yeah, Kamala Harris versus Trump for democracy. Yeah. Why do you keep going democracy? Yeah, because we're not actually a democracy. We're a constitutional republic, because a pure democracy is basically, wolves deciding that they're going to eat sheep for dinner. Lamb chops do sound good. And I do think it's a far greater threat to democracy that all of these people who obviously lied about Joe Biden's condition are the ones who forced him out and then pushed for Kamala Harris and are trying to revamp her past for policies and shape her modern perception. So even if the people do support her, do they even know what they're supporting? I don't really think so. So again, I don't think you guys really are trying to protect democracy. I think you're trying to hide from it, skirt around it, and that you're actually deathly terrified of having a fair and honest election, and that's why you never allowed the people to have one. Okay, but even if people don't really know who Kamala Harris is, they still know who Donald Trump is and that they don't want him. Oh, Donald Trump is a very flawed human being, and I could probably list more legitimate reasons to dislike him than you could. But let me leave it with this. If the media and all these people were willing to lie about Joe Biden's condition and cover for his condition, and all these people are lying about Kamala's background and what she believes, why do you think that they've been honest about their coverage of Donald Trump?